am in another electric vehicle. But before you turn off, do not turn off, I have an experience for you. So I'm currently behind the wheel of a Volvo C40. I'm gonna be alternating with a Volvo XC40, and I'm driving from Denver to Seattle using the new Volvo Starbucks charging network. And that is primarily about what this video is going to be about. Now, if you saw my rant that I had a couple weeks ago, or the video with the experience of the not so good charging network, I'm hoping this is going to be a different story, but it's just beginning. So I'm taking you along with me for the ride. I'm Jill Simonello. I'm the managing editor at Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and let's take a road trip. All right, so to give you a little bit more background on what is happening here, we are essentially going from Denver to Seattle, stopping at Starbucks along the way and using the charge point network. Now, Volvo has designed the trip for us. They've told us where the Starbucks charging stations are, and they've told us how much range we need to get up to before we leave that station to be able to move on to the next one. Sometimes it's 100%, sometimes it's 70%. But I'll be honest, because this vehicle gets up to about 297 miles of range, in theory, we could make it all the way to our final destination for today, day one, on a single charge. But yeah, we're not going to play that game. It's cold. We're in Denver. There could be snow. So this is our first stop, and yeah, we're going to probably not go up to 100%, even though they said to go up to 100%, but we are going to grab a coffee. All right, we have arrived at our next destination. We are at a Target parking lot, and again at another Volvo Starbucks charging partnership. And when we left our previous destination, it said we would get here with 50% of a charge. We got here with 52% of a charge. We've been driving through mountains. It's 41 degrees now, but it was 31 degrees. And as you can see, there is snow. And we drove through it. We got lost a little bit and took a wrong turn, but hey, we still got here with 50% of a charge. And I'm gonna say I haven't been in an EV that has an accurate charge rate or charge estimation yet. This is the most accurate one I've been in to date. So I'm super impressed. Highway speeds, snow, mountains, still got here at 50%. All right, we are back on the road again. This is my driving partner, Chris, and he is taking the wheel. And we just are leaving a charging station. The recommended charge was to get up to 80%, and we did that. And we are now going to Vail, Colorado. And it says that when we arrive, we will hit 66%. So let's see if that is still accurate. All right, we have arrived at our destination, although I think we've arrived at our destination, though it doesn't say X has marked the spot. We're close. We'll figure it out. But it initially said we would arrive with 66% charge, and hey, look at that. We are at 70% charge. So I will say we were driving down a mountain, so I'm sure that had something to do with it, but I'll be curious to see with our next stop, as we will probably be going up a mountain, how accurate we will be then. All right, so we are leaving Vail, Colorado, and our next stop is about 62 miles away, and we should have 46% of the charge still on the battery by the time we get there. And again, we are on highways. I'll go like this because I'm not driving. I can do that. We are on highways, and we are going the speed limit or faster. So we're looking at 70 miles per hour, 75 miles per hour, and yeah, we'll see if 46% is a real number or not a real number, because I have a feeling, you know, there's going to be some mountains involved too, just in case, you know, you miss the scenery. There's definitely some cold weather. All right, we have arrived at our next way station, and yep, surprise, we're at a Starbucks. It said that we would be at 46% when we arrived, and look at that, we're at 51%. So far on day one, the ranges have really held up in terms of what the estimated range is versus where it was saying we should be. We are at our final Starbucks stop in Glenwood Springs, and we are going to quote unquote fuel up to 60% to be able to make it to Grand Junction. And I will say we've done a lot of going downhill, so that is going to account for why we have a much higher percentage estimate than what, you know, the vehicle originally estimated. So I'm going to be very curious once we start going uphill to see how much that hurts us. We've arrived at our destination for the evening, which is the Maverick Hotel in Grand Junction. And as you can see, it started out saying that we were going to have 46% when we got here, but now it's saying 49%. And hey, look at that, 49%. Let me make that a little bit more clear for you. 49%. So it's 45 degrees. We did drive through mountains, so there was some elevation change. My ears are still popping from it, but yep, at the end of the day, 49%. We got here with better than what they estimated we would get here at. So far, at day one, I'm incredibly impressed with the capability of the C40 and the Google estimation of range at arrival. That is key. That is key. All right, we are starting day 2 of our Starbucks Volvo charging road trip extravaganza. And we have more than 500 miles to travel today, and we have, I want to say, like 4 or 5 stops. Mostly at Starbucks, but there is going to be a charge point along the way because there just is. So again, to remind you, what we're doing is we get to a charging station, they tell us the recommended charge that we have to start with, and then we go to the next charging station, and most of them are at Starbucks. So this morning, I got a gingerbread latte, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, let's go drive 509 miles. So as you can see, we are still charging, and they've told us we need to get up to 100% before we go. And I was like, why would we need to do that? Well, this is why. We are going 161 miles, and by the time we get there, our battery is going to be at 21%, and that's a little bit tight. And especially because we're going to be driving in cold temperatures. It's 33 degrees right now. We're going to be mostly on highways. So I'll be curious to see how accurate this range is, and if we start to sweat it towards the end of that trip. But yeah, so we have to get up to 100%. We're almost there. And we'll be at 21% by the time we arrive at our destination 2.5 hours from now. So wish us luck. All right, I just wanted to do a quick little check-in here. As we said, we were supposed to get to our next checkpoint with 22% of battery life, and as you can see, that is down to 12%. Well, that is probably due to temperatures. It's just now getting up to 38 degrees, but it's been 32, 34 degrees most of the time. We've been driving through mountains and, you know, not up and down, but just steadily hilly. And we've been going between 70 and 85 miles an hour because we are now in Utah and the speed limit here is 80 miles an hour. So, not at this exact point, but through a lot of highways, it's 80 miles per hour. So, here we are with the little range battery orange light coming on, and we've already gotten some alerts saying, we need to reroute you to a charging station, but we're going to a charging station, so, and we're almost there, so I'm actually not worried. I think we're gonna be fine. But it's just one of those things where the range estimator was fairly accurate, but not 100% accurate. And I will say I do enjoy working in percentages more than miles, because the miles freak me out more than percentages. I feel perfectly comfortable getting to a station with 12% battery life, but if you're looking at 12 miles minus 30 miles, that makes me a little less comfortable because we have 30 miles of range and we have 12 miles to go. So, I don't know. I think we're fine. And again, it's the percentage of battery that makes me more comfortable than looking at the miles to drive. Well, we arrived to the charge point station at about 12% charge, and we need to get up to 55% charge minimum. One of the side benefits of this particular stop is that it was literally right next door to the prehistoric museum in Price, Utah. So it's going to take like probably 45 minutes or so for us to get up to the percentage we need to leave. And this is a nice, interesting, educational way to spend some time. This is the way that charging should be. All right, we meandered through the museum a little bit longer than we needed to because we are now at 83% charge. So we only needed to be at 55%. So I think we are ready to go and get back on the road. Next stop is going to be another Starbucks. Time to power wash the bug guts before we head to Provo. So while we are sitting here, I will say we have another hour, an hour and 11 minutes to our next stop. We will arrive there with 57% charge. We currently have 91% charge. We were only supposed to charge up to 55%, but again, we got distracted in the prehistoric museum. So we just figured we'd take some time and do a little car wash. All right, since we had so much charge at the last destination, we've decided to skip Provo, and we are just going on to the next stop in Sandy, Utah. And so looking at the recalculated route, we will arrive with 51% charge, and we're currently at 74% charge. It's 42 degrees outside, and we have been going through some mountains. I'm pretty confident we'll get there at 51% charge. All right, I think I have found the first potential hiccup in the drive that I would like to talk about. And it's not even really a hiccup, it's not a problem. But we are in Sandy, Utah at a charging station. And this spot right here is very perfectly positioned to fit with this charging station, but this is not. And so as you can see, I had to cheat a little bit to be able to get the plug in the port. So initially I pulled into this spot, which also weirdly has a handicap spot on it, but I pulled in here, backed in, and I couldn't get the cord to wrap all the way around to reach this. And before you ask me why I didn't pull into the empty spots, because there was another car there. So this was the spot that was available to me when I got here. And so then I tried to pull in straight so that the port was on the same side and try to reach it, and that didn't work. So then eventually what I had to do is just back in and cheat the space. So this is a really easy fix. This is just paint. This is just paint. And if this is the biggest complaint I have for this trip, I think this is a total win for both Starbucks and Volvo. All right, we are on the road again, and we left Sandy, Utah, and we are on the way to Utah, I don't know. We'll put the spelling down there. We're on the way to someplace else in Utah, and it says that we should have 75% of our battery when we get there, and it's about a 32-minute drive. So I'm pretty sure, and we may even end up with more than 75% because, by the way, there's a little bit of a traffic slowdown going on, and so that usually means that we will have a better charge. But I am done with my driving for the day. Turning the wheel over to Chris, and but if I manage to hit it with the range estimate, he's a much better driver than I am and much less aggressive. So I'm sure 75, totally not a problem. I anticipate that's not a problem. All right, so we have arrived at our Starbucks stop, and we were at about 81%. We just plugged in. It said we would be, I think it's 76%. And yeah, so we totally hit it at 82%. Again, this has been so accurate, but we did run into a little bit of traffic, which probably bumped up our percentage at arrival. And here's the unfortunate thing. To get to our next destination, we still have a really long way to go. So in order to make our next destination, we have to get up to 96%. And anything over 80% is like a trickle charge. So if we wanted to get up to 100%, it would be complete at 4:14. And yeah, that's almost an hour from now. So we'll see. Thank goodness. Again, for Volvo, and I don't know if you can see through the back there, probably not, their Starbucks partnership, because we are, I think, gonna go have another cup of coffee. All right, we just finished charging up in Uintah, Uintah, Utah. I don't know how you pronounce that. So I'm just gonna move on. But we just finished charging up. We went to 100% of a charge. It took us 56 minutes and 31 seconds, and let me show you the reason why we did that. Our next stop is 2 hours and 44 minutes away, and it's saying that we are going to arrive at 10% of a charge. 10%. And, you know, it's currently 48 degrees. We have 98% of charge. It's saying our range is 230 miles, and we only need to go 191 miles. But, yeah. So, I don't know. I'm curious if we will need to find another charging station along the way or not. But right now it's saying we'll get there with 10% charge. I can be okay with that, maybe, as long as it doesn't drop much more than that. So we'll see. We'll see. I do know there's an Electrify America station along the way. TBD if it's broken. We're going to try not to stop there. All right, so as we've been driving, we've noticed it started at 9% and it's ticking up to 15%. And I'll be honest, Chris is driving probably a little bit more conservatively than we would normally drive. Speed limit is 75, we're going 75, that's conservative. But we were just having a discussion and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna record this. I think we're gonna make it. I think we're gonna make it. It's at 15%, it's going up. Even though it's getting colder, the terrain is looking fairly flat, so we're not gonna be going uphill, downhill. What do you think?
Well, it is going up. We are going straight. I mean, going flat. Mm-hmm. If I had to climb that mountain, I might be a little bit more concerned. So let's go for it.
All right, so this is another moment. Vote below. What do you think? Do you think that we are going to make it? We have 174 miles to go, and the car is saying we have 230 miles. Now, the interesting thing is, when we left that charging station, it said we had 230 miles. So we've probably gone like 10, maybe 15 miles at this point. And it's saying the battery's at 94%, and we'll arrive with 15% of the battery. So I want you to vote. I want you to vote and tell me what you think below. Do you think that we will make it? And yeah, play the intermission theme song, do 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 do, because yeah, you're gonna get the answer pretty immediately. All right, just a little bit of an update. We are getting close to our destination. We're 18 minutes away, and as you can see, we have 15 miles. We will arrive. We're still at 12%. As at the beginning, we were like at 9%, and then it started climbing up, and then it went down, and yeah, 12%. And so we've got 35 miles of range and 14 miles to go. I think we're gonna make it. I don't think I'm gonna sweat too badly, but I think we're gonna make it. All right, I just wanted to verify we made it to our destination. We are at our hotel. We have 12% of our battery left and 30 miles of range. We actually did it. And I will point out, it looks like there are 4 chargers here, and they all appear to be working. So yay, us. We made it. We had 12% battery. Didn't doubt it for a minute. Didn't have to sweat at all. I actually, again, have to stress how impressed I am with the range estimator that Volvo has put in here. All right, so we are moving into day 3 of our Volvo Starbucks road trip. And yep, we started it at another Starbucks. And I'm going to tell you, I had a sugar cookie latte with coconut milk this morning. Totally giving that a thumbs up. Hot, not cold. So our drive today is going to be about 10 hours long. And we are going from Idaho to Washington, and our first leg is going to be about 3 hours. Looks like we're going to get to our first stop with about 31% of our battery, but we do have a little bit of a detour planned. So fingers crossed on that. I'm sure it'll be fine because, by the way, for the past 2 days, it has been fine. So, hey, let's begin day 3 of our road trip. All right, I just wanted to show you the route book for day 3, and we've got 4 Starbucks on the agenda. As you've seen, we've already hit the first one. So we're heading to Nampa, Idaho next, then La Grande, Oregon, and Hermiston, Oregon, and then we end up in Richmond, Washington. I would also like to point out we have switched vehicles. We are now in the XC40 instead of the C40, but still all electric. All right, we have reached Nampa, Idaho, and the Starbucks here. And if you'll remember, because 2 seconds ago, it said we would get here with 31% charge. We arrived with 28% charge, but what I want to say is we also took about a 20-mile detour down to go look at the Shoshone Falls, so which weren't falling, but we did take a detour. And so again, like, I feel very good about the range estimator in this vehicle. I just can't say it enough. So charging speed, 40 kilowatts, not ideal, but it should complete at 140. Okay, we're not going to 100% because it's 11:40 and we definitely don't want to wait that long. But let's see. So looking at our little guide right here, we are in Nampa, and the next trip is to La Grande, Oregon. So we need to get up to 60%. They're recommending for us, so that that will give us enough charge to get to our next destination. So we're not going to charge up to 100%, but we are going to go in and yeah, I'm going to get more coffee. I don't know if I'm going to try another latte or if I will just go for a tall black coffee this time around. I don't know. TBD. We'll see. We are currently at a charge stop, and it occurs to me I haven't actually really talked about what it is that we are driving, and we have the Volvo XC40 and the Volvo C40. So yesterday we were driving the C40, which is the kind of fastback looking version. And then today we are now in the XC40. So the first 2 days we did C40. Now the final 2 days we are going to do the XC40. So, and we have reviews on both of these vehicles. However, not exactly like this, because these are the rear wheel drive extended range models. They can get up to 297 miles of all electric range. Now, I will be very honest with you. We have not seen that kind of range in these vehicles. Usually shows between like 250 and like 225 maybe. We have not seen that kind of range, and we have been driving through cold weather, we've been driving through snow, and yes, again, these are rear wheel drive vehicles, but I will point out they do have the Nokian Hecapolaita, hopefully I said that right, snow tires on them. So that is also going to draw some of the range down, because these are not necessarily like your most efficient kind of tires. But we are, you know, kind of making the trek through the mountains, and these vehicles have done pretty well. I'm gonna say they've done really well, actually. No slipping, no worrying about snow, no worrying about the range. But I do also want to take a little hot minute to talk about what's going on here, because we plugged in, we arrived at about 28% of a charge, and we were only drawing about like 40 kilowatts of power. And we've now gone up to like 98, 97 kilowatts of power. But the interesting thing is the C40 over here arrived before we did, and they were pulling like 115 kilowatts of power while we were not. And so if you look over here now, let's see, we'll close this. They are only pulling 38 kilowatts of power, but they are also up beyond 82%. So just a quick little primer on what's happening is at these stations, they are capable of delivering 200 kilowatts of power. But if two vehicles are plugged in, that means you are dividing the power. So obviously the vehicle that plugged in first is going to get the original burst of power. So they were drawing more initially, but now that they are at 80%, they are drawing less power, and we're starting to get more power. Now, of course, 90, 95 and 97 and whatever they were drawing, I can't remember, was at 40%. Like, that does not equal 200 kilowatts, but there is some balancing going on. And this vehicle itself can accept up to 200 kilowatts. Both of the vehicles can. So they can accept up to 200 kilowatts. And if in an ideal situation, only one vehicle was plugged in, like it could have taken all of the power. But as soon as another vehicle plugs in, kind of divides the power, and there's some balance that happens, you know, as one vehicle charges up and the other, you know, will then get more power. So what else is going on with these vehicles? I will say they deliver 248 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. The 0 to 60 mile per hour time is going to be, I want to say 6.9 seconds. It's over 6 seconds. So not super peppy on the EV side of things, but adequate. And I will say in passing mode, when you're at like 55 miles an hour and you need to pass, you do get a nice little burst of speed. So I really like both of these vehicles. I think they're super comfortable. But you know, in the C40 with the lift back, you know, coupe-like rear, you have limited visibility out the rear. And I'll point out, weirdly, even though these are on the same platform, this vehicle has more of an upright driver's seat. So I felt like driving a truck more than driving a car. So I don't know. So just wanted to give you a little bit more information about what's going on here, what I'm driving, and what's happening at this power station. So, all right, there you go. All right, we are charged up to 93%. The recommended charge was 90%, and we are going to make a stop along the way to our next stop. And at our waypoint, it's going to be about an hour away, and we will arrive with 64% charge. But I noticed that when we arrive to our final, or not our final, but our next Starbucks stop in La Grande, Oregon, we will be at like 20%. So, yeah, another fun day driving an EV, and I'm not worried at all. Really, seriously, not worried. I just wanted to interrupt with some natural scenery. On our road trip, we decided to pit stop for a photo opportunity, and this is beautiful. And you know, I'm still fairly confident about our battery range, even with stopping, moving, taking photos, moving, stopping, taking more photos. You know, we're going to arrive in theory with 19%. We haven't left yet. We're still stopping, moving, and taking photos. But yeah, take a look at this. This is just beyond beautiful. And the fact that you can do this road trip in an electric car, pretty awesome. All right, we have arrived at our destination in La Grande, Oregon, and we are at another Starbucks with another charging opportunity. And if you'll remember, I said we were going to arrive here even after our pit stop at 20%, but we arrived at 25% of our battery life. So we actually picked up, or at least didn't lose as much as, you know, battery range as they thought we would. And we stopped for like an hour with the cars on, taking pictures, and we probably went, you know, 4 or 5 miles, 10 miles actually, because it was like 5 miles one way and 5 miles back the other way, out of our way. So I don't know. I'm going to beginning to sound like a broken record, but I'm really, really impressed with how well this vehicle is doing with its range estimates and telling us where we're going to be and how much battery life we will have left. And I mean, our temperatures were a little bit warmer today. You know, we're ending at about 50. Well, we're not done yet, but we have about 50 degrees right now. But you know, we've gone through 32 degrees, 40 degrees, and the battery has still been really, really accurate. So what I want to say, one of the things that you need to have for electric cars to be successful is an accurate and valid range estimator of what you're going to be when you get to your destination. And that is what is going to build confidence, because when you get into your car, if it says you're going to get to your destination with 10% of your battery life and you actually get there with 10% of your battery life, you're going to trust that and you're going to be happy about that, and you're not going to freak out and wait 2 hours at an Electrify America station to charge just in case. So that's what I need, and I am just so pleased that thus far, this is the experience that we've had with the Volvo XC40 and the Volvo C40. I just wanted to do a quick check-in. We charged up to about 88%, and we are now on our way to the next charging station. And you would think it's like midnight outside because it's dark, but nope, it's only 5 o'clock. But we actually have to stop at the next charger because there is not going to be a charger at our hotel tonight. So hour and 15 minutes, 56% charge. I, at this point, am just totally not doubting that. All right, we arrived at our destination with 58% charge. We've started charging already, and it is raining. So we wanted to get that started and get out of here as quickly as possible because we have to charge up to 85% before we leave because our hotel this evening, which is our next stop, does not have a charging station at it. So we've got to charge up. I don't think we'll be here for an hour and a half, but we'll be here for a while. And I would like to point out this right here. Let's put my window down. This right here is also an electric charging spot, and that is not an electric vehicle. We just got iced almost. I mean, we could have been iced. Thankfully, there are 4 chargers here. So we did not get iced. And we are actually using the one that he is parked in front of. So, because we parked next to him. But yeah, and thankfully, by the way, the cord reaches. But yeah, we could have been iced. Douchebag. All right, so we are back on the road, and I just want to show that our final destination is 41 minutes away, 36 miles away, and we will get there at 70%. As you'll notice, we did not wait until we were at 100% battery. We only went up to 87%, and we needed to do that because when we get to our hotel, which is this, there is no charging station, and then we have to go tomorrow morning. We have to go to Yakima, and as you can see, we will arrive in Yakima with 34% battery. So we really needed to get up tonight, as you know, in a good amount before we got to the hotel, so that we have plenty of charge to get to Yakima tomorrow. So that is where we are at the moment, and yeah, we got iced. We are on our final day of the Volvo Starbucks road trip, and I got to give you a little backstory because this is not the start of our day. We've actually been driving for about an hour and 15 minutes already. The start of our day was back, where were we? Back somewhere in Washington, because I can't even remember where we were at this point. But we were at a hotel that did not have a charger. So we arrived last night with about 72% of a charge. We woke up this morning and we lost a little bit of range because we weren't plugged in, and we were at 70%. And then when we plugged in our destination, it said that we would arrive here at this Starbucks in Yakima. I do know where we are right now. That we would arrive here at about 34% of our battery. Well, this, I have to say, is the biggest miscalculation the Volvo system has made. And it's probably because I was driving and I wasn't exactly going 70 miles an hour, which is the speed limit. But we got here with 27%, which is still plenty of battery. But that was just a little bit, I would say that was the biggest variance I've seen so far on the estimation for your charge when you arrive. But this is the last day. This is actually our last Starbucks stop before we finish up. So we will take a look at what we are projected to do and how we're supposed to finish up, and then I will end this video with some thoughts that I have after 4 days of road tripping in an EV and drinking a lot of Starbucks. And yeah, now I need a coffee and I'm not sure what I'm gonna go get. We'll see. All right, I just wanted to do a check-in. We've been driving for a couple of hours now, and we've taken a couple of detours, and we are currently going to arrive at Starbucks headquarters with 28% battery life. Now, when we left, it said 34, and you know, it's gotten colder, and it's starting to rain, and we are kind of going like this a little bit, and like I said, we've also taken some detours. So 28% battery life, still feeling pretty good about that, but just wanted to do a check-in and let you know where we're at, because we are closing in on the home stretch. We are almost done with our drive. Okay, we have officially reached the end of the road trip, and we are here at the Starbucks headquarters in Seattle, and on cue, it's raining. But what I want to say is this was a 1,400-mile road trip from Denver to Seattle. There are 44 chargers along the route right now with 50 planned, and we probably stopped at like 15 of them. So there's a lot more chargers than what we actually stopped at available. And my takeaway from this experience is EV charging doesn't have to be hard if the proper infrastructure is in place. So I want to give Volvo some really big kudos here, because this has been in the works, being planned for 2 years. It's not like they just woke up yesterday and said, oh, let's build a charging network, and poof, there it was. No, they actually thought about it when they started building their electric cars. Such a novel idea. If more automakers would do that, we would be in a much different place today, because there would be more charging infrastructure pretty much everywhere. So overall, I thought this road trip went really well. There was very little stress or range anxiety. And I will say there was maybe one day when we were coming in at like 12% that I was like, how do I feel about that? But I was never really worried. And that is such a different experience than what I have felt in the Midwest. I know more charging infrastructure is coming. I know that there's a lot being planned. It can't get here soon enough. And this program right here is just a pilot. So they're just kind of testing this out. They don't have any concrete plans to expand it, but I think they will. So overall, 1,400 miles, a lot of Starbucks coffees, and I think I've tried the entire holiday menu, and I'm going to give them all a thumbs up. My favorite is the sugar cookie. Thank you, Starbucks. But we had very few hiccups. I have two things that I want to put out there for Starbucks and Volvo. And the first thing is maybe cover your charging spots, because by the way, this would get really old if I lived in a raining climate like, Seattle, and had to keep plugging in outside with an umbrella. The other thing that I would say is we encountered language at the charging stations that said EV parking preferred. And at one place, there was actually a Ram pickup truck that was parked there. And so as long as you say EV parking preferred, you're going to get iced. You're going to get iced. And so I think that's a problem, and I would ask you to reconsider that. But that's it. That is what I have for you in this 4-day extravaganza road trip video of the pilot test of the pilot program from Volvo and Starbucks. So thank you for watching. If you made it this far, thank you for sticking with me over 4 days of video, and I will see you down the road.